Welcome. I'm Gabe Higgins, the organizer of Tampa Bay Bitcoineers, Bitcoin meetup group, and we're here today to listen to and support Raincoin, the new digital currency backed by Rainwater, introduced by Raincube. So we're here at the Raincoin roundtable, and we're going to hear a presentation given by the lead developer and organizer of Raincube, Anthony. So, Anthony, I'd like to welcome you.
Thank you, Gabe.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, I'm Anthony Paglino. I'm the founder of Raincube, and I first want to say thank you to the Sawgrass Gallery and Tea House for hosting this meetup, as well as to the panelists, Joe Blankenship, Chris Williams, Patrick McGuire, and thank you for viewing this video. So, what I want to talk to you today is a high-level overview of Raincube, Raincoin, and the Internet of Rain that we're already building. So I started this journey a few years back when I graduated from college in 2008 with a degree in economics, just as the financial collapse was happening. And I was very fortunate to have that experience because from an early age I was able to discover that our economic system has a fundamental flaw. And that flaw is you can't keep infinite growth happening on a finite planet. So having lost faith in this institution, I went in search of a new one. I moved to China because I was really interested in their economic miracle, where they went from having a famine that took the lives of some estimate up to 30 million people, going to an economy that was growing 30% year after year. And I ended up moving to a small farming village in the southwestern part of the country in Yunnan province, living and working in a very tight-knit agricultural community for over 2 years. And what I learned from that experience was the only way to survive is to adapt and to go with the flow. And I think we've disconnected ourselves from our community, and for me, community means the reliance on others for the continued survival of the community. Now, coming back here to the US, we have a current system called the Food, Energy, Water Nexus that we all rely on. Now, where do we get our food? We get it from the grocery store, and that's shipped in from around the state, around the country, and around the globe. For example, in California, produces 99% of the world's almonds, but almonds are a water-intensive crop. Furthermore, we're getting our energy from the utilities. We're getting our water from the city. If any of these, if there's any breakdown at any of these points, we're pretty much screwed. Furthermore, we're using a lot of water to irrigate lawn grass. Lawn grass is the most irrigated crop in the world. We have over 100 million homes with backyards. This is an untapped resource. The question is, at the Nexus, how do we unlock a new water supply? So for water security here in Florida, we're already experiencing shocks to the system. Phosphate mines are collapsing into the aquifer. The water table is rising. We're having more saltwater intrusion, so even if you want to dig a well, you may not. Furthermore, sewage is overflowing from an aging centralized water infrastructure here in St. Pete into the bay. And we also have lead poisoning from a piping system that was put in over 100 years ago. So we're basically using technology that was invented by the Romans over 2,000 years ago. What I want to talk to you guys about today is how do we decentralize the water supply, giving everybody the tools to take control of not only their own water, but their own food as well. And we're already starting to see this happen in the energy sector with solar panels coming online. So there's 7 key steps to transitioning from a centralized water supply to a decentralized global Internet of Rain. The first step is harvesting water from any roof, anywhere. The The second is connecting that water system to internet-connected service via Wi-Fi or cellular. And then at the home level is taking all that information so that you're producing more than you're consuming. And then finally, using blockchain to have an open ledger so that we can track and manage these limited resources. And then having smart contracts that are able to provide machine-to-machine as well as peer-to-peer exchanges. And then stepping up, taking all those homes in a locality and creating a smart city. And then at the final level is having all of these cities connected through a global internet of rain that is providing enough water and food and energy to basically supply a population of 10 billion people. So let's start with rainwater harvesting. This is a RainCube installation at a home here in Tampa Heights, and you can see on the right-hand side is the collection. It's a first flush diverter, and that feeds 4 of these tanks. Each tank holds 275 gallons. They're wrapped in black plastic to prevent algae growth inside of the tank, and these tanks are actually recycled IBC totes, which is it's the standard for transporting any liquid around the world. So we've upcycled them, and in total we have 1,100 gallons of storage capacity. If you've seen rainwater harvesting before, you've probably seen the 55-gallon barrels. It's common to have 2 of those barrels hooked up to a downspout. 2 of those barrels is 110 gallons. With these four cubes, we've just increased the capacity 10x. So we've already exponentially increased our rainwater capacity. The question is, how do we manage that water? This is being used in a backyard irrigation system. Now, you don't see a lawn. This isn't used for lawns. This is used for drip irrigation with a permaculture designed backyard garden. And we've also hooked up a shower so that we can start to use it for residential needs. So the question is, how do we use this model but expand it to the 100 million homes in the US? For that, we need a new paradigm, which is called the Internet of Things. And it's been around for years. If you have a smartphone, or even if you have the Nest thermostat or your Fitbit on your wrist, these are all internet-connected devices. Now, what we've done here is we've taken a traditional sprinkler controller that would hook up to your lawn sprinklers, and we've optimized it for rainwater. So attached to the computer is a sensor, and that sensor is giving us a key statistic, which is how much water do we have. So if you're a gardener, you want to know that you have water in your tank. Furthermore, we want to know how much water are we going to have. So looking at the weather forecast, if it's going to be a dry week or a wet week, that's going to tell us if we want to splurge or conserve. And then we also want to know, where is our water going? So on the bottom left, you can see a chart that's showing our consumption analytics. And ideally, we want to get to a point where we're balancing our collection with our consumption. And then finally, on the bottom right, you can see we have different zone controls. So you can be setting your watering schedule, but right off the bat, this is what we already have deployed. For somebody who's trying to grow food in their backyard, this is a lifesaver because it means less time having to worry about, is my tank full, is my sprinklers on? So this is allowing us to basically take it to the next level. So there's a new shift happening with solar. So what's nice about solar, or any other renewable energy for that matter, is once the fixed cost is taken care of, how much are you paying for every megawatt of solar energy that you collect? The answer is near zero. So this is creating a new revolution called the near zero marginal cost society. The author Jeremy Rifkin he's written about this extensively, but we're already seeing it happening, so that eventually, once we start collecting solar, collecting rainwater, harvesting wind, growing our own food, we're not going to be paying for houses. The houses could potentially be paying us to live there. So this is going to change the economics dramatically. And this is where blockchain comes in, because we are measuring how much water we're collecting, how much water we're consuming. We have this information. How do we make it open? So we've already seen the first blockchain application, which is Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is a form of digital money, and it uses what's considered a proof of work algorithm, which is a bunch of computers racing to solve a problem. With proof of work, it's a high energy, it's energy intensive. The second evolution of blockchain is Ethereum. And what Ethereum allows you to do is to create other types of decentralized applications, not just for money, but for smart contracts, for any type of legal arrangement. So you could potentially have your birth certificate or a marriage certificate hosted on one of these open ledgers. Today, I want to introduce Raincoin. And right now, we're using dollars to value our water and food supply. And there's a problem with that, because what is the true cost of that water? What is the true cost of that food? There's a lot more tied into that than just a dollar input. Now, for me, I feel that the true cost of that food is the physical water requirement needed to make that pound of produce. So today we're going to introduce a new concept called proof of flow. And what proof of flow is, it's not good enough just to collect the water. We have to make sure that you're also consuming the water as well. So let's say that you have a full tank of water and it rains. Well, there wasn't any water collected because there's no room for that water to go. So Raincoin uses a different type of incentivization structure so that you're incentivized to give the water instead of hoard it. And this is different from our scarcity mentality that we experience in capitalism, which is, I want to hold on to this as long as I can because eventually it'll appreciate and it'll turn into more money. But nature is different. Anytime you hoard something, you create an unnatural balance. So if I have a pile of bananas and I just want to hold on to them, they're eventually going to spoil. So with proof of flow, it's incentivizing homeowners to not just collect, but to consume the rainwater. And we'll go into this more in the next presentation. So smart contracts. So this is really exciting because it allows us to create more functionality with what are called decentralized applications. So imagine that we have a farmer who has a backyard plot and they're growing cabbages, oranges, and apples. Well, let's say that there's a soil sensor in the cabbage patch. That soil sensor reads a dry reading. It then executes a contract to tell the rain cube, I need water. Send me 1 gallon of water. So the smart contract executes without having to have any person around. That water gets delivered and we keep track of where that water is going. So for example, if I water for an hour and the computer senses that we've used 10 gallons of water in that hour, I now have a track of how much water was put into that 1 pound of cabbage. So this is allowing us to create a new value system around food, around water. So scaling up, Ethereum and smart contracts allows us to build even bigger organizations, such as DAOs, and that's a decentralized autonomous organization. So you can actually code organizations, businesses. Dubai right now is already starting the conversion from having old legacy systems to having new blockchain systems so that they can be delivering government services cheaper and better. And this is what it's all about, is individuals who are working together in a neighborhood can now create a decentralized, distributed, democratic, and digital local water and food economy. This is the whole goal of RainCube, is to use the tools to create that community. And here we start to see where RainCube enters into the reality of Farmville. Now, we all remember Farmville as being a hugely popular game that people would spend hours on. Unfortunately, that time spent on the computer didn't translate into anything tangible offline. With RainCube, this becomes a reality. You can be spending time on your computer as well as in the garden, and we can make it fun. We can turn it into a game so that you can be collaborating with your neighbors. So right now, one of the first instances for Raincoin is to have a leaderboard. So if you're the one who's making the most flow, you're going to be higher on the list. What if you need to work with 5 other of your neighbors so that you can reach a target inside your watershed to be making sure that you're collecting enough water? And we're here in Florida. We get over 50 inches of rain a year. We have more than enough. The problem isn't can we collect enough, it's can we efficiently and effectively manage that water supply without having a central third-party middleman, aka the water company. So thinking about the long-term picture, which is, we're going to have 10 billion people on the planet by 2050. How are we going to feed them? How are we going to water them without collapsing the ecosystem? So by decentralizing the water and food supply, using blockchain, Internet of Things, using a different value system called Raincoin, we have the ability not to just create smart cities, but an entire global network of decentralized rainwater harvesting. And with the potential to actually create artificial intelligence at a global scale that is managing all of that information in real time. Now, doing the math, with 10 billion people on the planet, we would need 1 trillion liters of flow capacity. That's a big number, but it's not too big. By my estimates, for every dollar invested gives you 1 liter of capacity. So we could potentially solve the global water food crisis by switching to a decentralized system. Now the question is, how do we fund the first fixed investment? Because what we've seen with the zero marginal cost revolution, once the fixed cost is paid in, we're not going to have to be spending money over the long term. It would probably cost $1 trillion just for the US to upgrade its existing water system, but that's not building a 21st or even a 22nd century system, that's building a 19th century system. So it's going to come more expensive to meet the demands of the current realities that we face in our cities across the globe. So my whole goal is, by empowering individuals to work together in a community, we can actually achieve balance, which is the ultimate goal. So thank you very much. If you want to know more information, you can go to raincube.io, and I'm going to hand over the mic to Patrick, who is going to present more information on Raincoin. Thank you.